After completing high school, Trevor was given the opportunity to join the cast on a South African soap opera named Insidingo. Despite a failed attempt at becoming a taxi driver, Trevor refused to give up and began to toy with the idea of hosting his own radio show. Following his short stint on the South African drama, Trevor began producing a youth-oriented radio show that broadcast once a week, named Noah's Ark. The show rose in popularity on the most popular youth radio station in Gauteng, YFM. On this show, Trevor would share the latest celebrity gossip while hosting game shows as well. The show provided Trevor with foundation on which to base the rest of his comedy career. The true origin of his comedic roots stems from an unlikely situation. While at a party with friends one night, Trevor was relatively unknown until his cousin, heavily intoxicated, demanded that he begin performing short stories on a makeshift stage. Obliging his cousin while being somewhat curious as to what the reaction of the audience would be, Trevor reluctantly hopped up on stage and began performing short stories. Trevor's stories were an immediate hit, and his confidence as a stand-up comedian was born. From the success of his christening as comedian, Trevor was ready to launch his career in comedy. After concealing his radio show, Trevor began forming the material necessary to begin his first act. Following many months of careful preparation, Trevor opened with his very first show. Following his first show, Trevor went on to perform with other prestigious comedians from South Africa, such as David Cow, Kagiso Lediga, Darren Simpson, and Mark Lottering. As the life of a stand-up comedian began to grow for Trevor, so did the venues he performed at. 2 years into his career as a comedian, Trevor's success earned him a sold-out performance at one of the more popular South African venues. But the show was marred by tragedy. 2 weeks after opening night, Trevor received a phone call from his 16-year-old half-brother. Trevor's bliss-filled life was about to change for the worse. Between hurried sentences, his brother relayed the information to him that Trevor's mother had been shot. As the news was relayed to Trevor, he learned that his stepfather had become extremely jealous, that his ex-wife, Trevor's biological mother, had begun seeing someone new. As the jealousy led to rage, Trevor's estranged father stormed her house and shot her twice, once in the back and once in the head. Through a miracle, the bullet missed her brain by mere millimeters. despite escaping with only simple muscle paralysis that was barely noticeable. The night of the shooting was filled with fear, and at the time it was not sure that she would live. In a documentary about his upbringing, Trevor relays the graphic scene that met his eyes that night. I was just freaking out. I drive to the clinic, get there. There is blood all over her face. It's like open. There is blood everywhere. She's trying to talk. I'm just, wow, I'm gone. While her miraculous survival was a relief, the incident infuriated Trevor. Concerned that he had taken his mother for granted all of his early life, Trevor vowed to spend each moment with her as if it was her last. Trevor remembers how throughout the ordeal his mother reacted to the situation with humor. While he was sitting next to her bed, she remarked to him, "Don't cry, look on the bright side. Now you're officially the best-looking person in the family." From this, one can see where Trevor got his innate knack at making every situation lighter while choosing to focus on the brighter side of the situation. Following the incident, Trevor went on to perform and further his comedy career. Trevor's first television appearance came in 2004 when he was made host of Rand Adventure. Although it was cancelled after only 2 years on South African broadcasting, the show vaulted Trevor into the spotlight as a commanding host that could keep his audience captivated. After dabbling in one-time shows for the next couple of years, Trevor made his one-man show premiere of The Daywalker. Arguably his most successful show to date, The Daywalker never failed to sell out the venue and left patrons very satisfied that they had spent their money well. In 2007, Trevor was given another chance at television stardom when he became the host of The Real Gaboza. Named as a gossip show, the show was the matured product of his yesteryear production Noah's Ark. Trevor had obviously had no idea that his youth-themed production would lay the foundation for one of his most successful television shows. Following his premiere of The Real Gaboza, Trevor's popularity rose, resulting in his high demand by all of the major news broadcasters. While co-hosting Siadlala in 2007, Trevor also co-hosted The Amusing Date with Pebby Molloy. With Siadlala being a sports show and The Amusing Date being dating game show, Trevor's television roles were extremely diverse. Along with performing on television, Trevor was still maintaining his rigorous schedule as a comedian. Though these times were dull and tiring, they were very much a culmination of his life's work thus far, while painting a future he had long envisioned, a future beyond apartheid, and that included wealth and popularity. Trevor Noah had arrived as a comedian. Trevor was granted another great show business opportunity when he was made host of the third annual South African Film and Television Awards. After performing in the single act, Trevor became co-host with Eugene Koza for the Axe Sweet Life, another reality television show. Trevor became recognized in a more diverse venue when he was given the opportunity to be the opening act for Gabriel Iglesias and his comedy tour. After hosting the South African Music Awards in 2010, Trevor was recognized as the most well-known South African comedian at the time. While other South African comedians had honed in on one audience and mastered it, Trevor was not content with this. He wanted to be popular in every venue of comedy, South African and beyond. Through this drive and desire, Trevor began paving his way to America, a journey that would embark in just a few more years. Trevor finally got a chance at his own nightly show when he hosted Tonight with Trevor Noah, a late-night comedy show that ran on Mnet for 2 seasons. Despite being short-lived, Tonight with Trevor Noah gave him a chance to dip his toes in the area of late-night comedy. Trevor was given his first commercial gig in 2010 when Cell C invited him to be the spokesperson for their brand, along with serving as a consumer protection agent for their products. For Trevor, this was his largest paying contract yet, with Cell C, the third largest mobile phone company in South Africa at the time. While performing nationally on South African television, Trevor maintained his stand-up comedy on tours. In addition to his first tour, The Dave Walker, Trevor performed with the Blacks' only comedy show, the Heavyweight Comedy Jam, the Vodacom Campus Comedy Tour, the Cape Town International Comedy Festival, the Josie Comedy Festival, while completing his last performance on tour in South Africa with Bafana in 2010. After retiring the Dave Walker in 2010, Trevor completely revamped his performance and birthed Crazy Normal in 2011. The show was met with tremendous success and continued to prove Trevor's stake at the premier stand-up comedy in South Africa. After rewriting another script that resulted in That's Racist, Trevor's comedy routine for 2012, Trevor's stand-up comedy routines in South Africa came to close and culminated with It's My Culture in 2013. Trevor felt that his days as a comedian appearing solely in South Africa were over and was ready to take the next big step in his career, traveling to the culture that appreciated comedy the most, the culture found in America. While Trevor had legally relocated in 2011, he had maintained his dual citizenship and continued performing in South Africa. Following his relocation in 2011, Trevor guest starred on The Tonight Show with Jay Leno in January 2012. In doing so, Trevor became the first stand-up comedian from South Africa to appear on The Tonight Show. While this was only the first of many records, Trevor would set as a South African comedian in America. It was certainly an appropriate christening to the forefront of American comedy. In 2012, Trevor gained valuable media time when You Laugh, But It's True made him the focus of their interview. Following the premiere of the documentary on Netflix, the world was astounded by Trevor's ability to hone in on a selected culture's humor at the young age of 25. Unlike other stand-up comedians, Trevor had not required years of trial and error to perfect his craft, although he did make mistakes and had jokes that fell flat. His ability to make people laugh was unmatched by his rivals. Even Trevor's agent said he felt slightly afraid at Trevor's vault to the national spotlight at such a young age. In a recent interview with Decider.com, Trevor's agent Takunda Bima asserts, "Ordinarily, I would not recommend for a comedian to do a one-man show at this stage of his career. Normally, like a year or 2 years in, yes, you might be funny guy, whatever. But are you strong enough a comedian now to let your opinions on the world go out there and be assessed and analyzed?" Despite these misgivings, Trevor continued to prove his doubters wrong and succeeded at every level of comedy his future presented him. The same year that his documentary premiered, Trevor hosted a new comedy television show, Trevor Noah, The Racist, loosely based on his comedy tour from South Africa. That's Racist. This new show introduced Trevor to late-night American comedy. As his inaugural television show, all eyes were on the young comedian to see whether he could handle the adjustment to American comedy. Showcasing his comical genius, Trevor successfully transitioned his show from South African to American with similar effects. For America, the excitement of promising new comedian kept them glued to his late-night show, while for Trevor, the success encouraged him and served to boost his confidence. Trevor's career as a comedian was at the pinnacle of its success, with his greatest achievement soon to appear. Trevor continued to be the sole host of annual comedic events year-round. In September, he started as the roast master on the roast featured on Comedy Central of the South African singer Steve Hofmeyr. 2013 brought few changes to Trevor's life as he continued to take part in roast and stand-up comedy in America. Having transitioned so well to American life, Trevor rarely returned to South Africa to visit, and he no longer took part in the comedian routines in the country. In 2013, Trevor was the host of his namesake Trevor Noah African